Lower, dear. Harder now. Not that hard! Harold, you must try to be more careful.
Yes, of course, dear.
Harold, do you remember Laura Putnam?
No, dear.
It's been years since I've seen her. I wonder how she's looking these days.
Not very well, I should think.
Now, why would you say that, Harold?
Because she's been dead for over 10 years. She was dead long before we were even married. You know that, dear. We've had this discussion at least a dozen times before.
Yes, that's right. My, where has my memory gone to? Harold, would you be so good as to give me a cup of tea? It would warm me so.
Yes, of course, Elizabeth.
In high school, Laura and I, we had so much fun. So much fun. We were young and alive then. I remember one night we went to a dance. I couldn't have been more than 16, and Laura was 2 years older than I. Oh, how we would dance. We would dance and dance and dance some more. But all that's gone now. Gone. Dead and gone. And Laura's gone too. Dear, dear Laura. How I wish I could see her again. What I wouldn't give to see her one last time. You're old, Elizabeth. Old and useless. You'll see your dear friend Laura soon enough. You know that, but you can't accept it. You'll also join your first husband, Barney. How could you expect Harold to fill Barney's shoes? Why, he's little more than a boy.
Here, some nice warm tea to soothe your old... To soothe you, dear.
To soothe my old bones. That's what you were going to say, wasn't it, Harold? Wasn't it?
Nonsense, dear. You're still a young lady. Age is a state of mind, and you're as young as you feel. That's a fact.
But I feel very old, Harold.
You still have plenty good years ahead of you. Years to enjoy the many pleasures that life affords.
Oh, stop it, Harold. You sound like you're reading cue cards.
But Elizabeth...
Even if I did have years ahead of me, what good is life when all I can do is sit in this awful wheelchair day after day?
There's plenty you can do, even from a wheelchair.
Like what?
Like reading a good book.
And getting lost in the pages of a story?
Or
what, Harold? Or what? Watching the birds, perhaps, or having a stroll through town. Accomplished, of course, by reading the newspaper, or better yet, letting my fingers do the walking to the telephone directory. Or having a stroll through the woods of New England, courtesy of Robert Frost.
Self-pity will do you no good, Elizabeth.
Who else is there to pity me besides myself, Harold? You?
No, I never pitied you, and I never will. If you weren't so bitter, you could lead a happy, productive life.
Turn it off, will you please, Harold? A happy, productive life. 2 happiness pills, please. Yes, the blue ones will do fine. And a glass of productiveness to wash it down. Black label. A charming picture, don't you agree? A crippled old woman drugged and passed out in her wheelchair, temporarily at liberty to escape her confinement and find comfort in her euphoric dreams. The only place where she really can be productive. In her dreams, She can walk and dance and perform the amazing feat of walking to the bathroom all by herself. And she can take a bath all by herself. And she can step into the bathtub all by herself.
Stop it, Elizabeth. What good does it do, torturing yourself like this?
Such untold luxuries as taking a bath, temporarily free. Until the effect of the pills wears off, then I'm back in my old chrome and vinyl prison on wheels. There's only one time when I'll be truly free, Harold, when I'm dead and in the ground.
And that is exactly where you're going to be, you old crone, but not soon enough. How I long to be rid of your endless whimpering. I love you, Elizabeth. Isn't that worth something?
Of course it is. I'm so lucky to have you, to have a husband like you. I'm sorry, Harold. Please forgive me for being such a self-indulgent old fool. Say you
Certainly.
forgive me.
I forgive you, dear. Now here, have some tea.
Oh, my, Harold. I'm afraid this tea has gotten cold. Be a dear and warm it up for me, won't you, Harold?
Yes, of course, Elizabeth, but first, I've been meaning to talk with you for quite some time. It's just, Elizabeth, I know how you hate the subject, but I just don't see why we can't hire some extra help around here. A nurse, for one, to look after you, and of course provide you with companionship. And a housekeeper. It's just that this house, it's become too much for me to keep up with. And looking after you, not that I mind looking after you, it's just that it takes up all of my time. If I'm not making the meals, I'm preparing the beds or pruning the roses.
But you don't have to go out and work at a job, Harold. I provided you with everything, so you never have to worry about being a common laborer.
But that's just it, Elizabeth. Don't you see? I've been reduced to being a puppet. Your puppet. You wind me up and you give me money and you set me out on various tasks. It's just that I'm a man, Elizabeth. A man, and I need to feel like one.
But a housekeeper and a nurse could never be as loving and caring as you are, dear.
No, and I wouldn't want them to be. I'd still be here to provide you with all the loving and caring you could possibly need.
I feel so selfish, Harold, but I want you and only you. I love you, Harold.
Then I'm afraid there are no other alternatives. If you won't let me hire the help needed to keep this place up, then we'll just have to move to someplace smaller. Maybe an apartment.
Never! I won't hear of such a thing.
Elizabeth, there are no other solutions. If we stay here, I simply must have help.
Very well, Harold. Very well. But you must promise me that having others around won't interfere with our lives or separate us in any way.
You old fool. You've just dug your own grave. Soon, Elizabeth, you will be free, and so will I.
Am I that much of a burden to Harold? Of course I am. How could I be so selfish? He's so young and vibrant. And I'm old, worn out. Maybe he would be better off without. Better off if I were... No, I can't think like that. Harold loves me. If I were gone, it would tear him apart.
I'll go to the agency first thing in the morning and inquire about qualified help. Naturally, I'll only accept the most highly recommended people.
I'm tired now. I think I'd like to go to bed.
Yes, of course, Elizabeth. You must be exhausted.